Good morning. My name's John Marston. I'm calling you today from Santa Monica in Los Angeles, California. And going to talk about online Pilates classes and how you can market them and get more people to come and join you. My background is that I'm the treasurer of the Pilates Method Alliance. I volunteer to do that job. And I'm also, my day job is I'm the CEO of Pilates Anytime. I'm going to split my presentation into three parts. First part, I'm going to talk about how to market as an individual Pilates teacher. How can you get people into your online classes? Second part is going to be all about how do you as a studio owner, different market segment, a studio owner, what are the marketing things that you can work on to help fill those classes, those online classes in your studio. And at the end of it, I'm going to do questions and answers, and we'll see how it goes. So let's begin. So if you're a Pilates teacher, an existing Pilates teacher, you've probably, in the pre-coronavirus world, or BC, before Corona, you had people that were coming to your studio, you were teaching them, they're coming to your studio and you were doing things, doing Pilates with them. So you had probably three sets of clients. You had your private clients, and then you had your duets or small groups, and you may have been doing large group format classes as well. So I'm going to kind of talk about each of those individually and how you get on with them. So thinking about it, the key value that you're offering all of your clients is that you know them, that you have an existing relationship with them, that you understand how their body moves, you have their understanding of what they need as people. So never forget that is that unique value proposition that you're offering them, that existing relationship. Now your private clients, hopefully you've already reached out to them and managed to transition them into online clients. But if you haven't, then this would be my kind of approach to that. Please remember that these are your highest value customers. These are the ones that you spend really intimate time with. You really understand who they are and what they're doing. And so ring them up. You may not have traditionally rung them up in the before Corona's world, but now is a great opportunity to ring them up, see how they're getting on, talk to them, find out about what they need. In the process of contacting them like that, if they're not already a client, try and find out what is the reasons why they don't want to do online Pilates with you. Maybe they're scared of the technology. Maybe economically their situation has changed. But try and find out what it is. If they're scared of the technology, my suggestion is you say, well, I'd love to get on Zoom with you and just show you how it works and just give you a little free 15-minute stretch and exercise class, something like that. But just get them through that kind of fear that they have of the technology. And I think all of us feel the same. The first time you do Zoom or Instagram Live, all of these things, it's scary. And I don't think we should underestimate that. That's something that we're all kind of in. So I would spend the time with them and do that. You may discover that the technology that they're most familiar with isn't Zoom. It might be it's FaceTime. Maybe they connect with their grandchildren that way. So maybe you have to flex the technology that you've been using to deliver those classes depending on the client. But Zoom really isn't that hard to use, and I would persevere, and it opens up a whole new world. You might be able to persuade that older client that the neuroplasticity of learning new skills will keep them young. I don't know, try it on. If price is the reason that client is pushing back, then say, well, we used to do 2 privates. Do you think you could afford to do maybe 1 private and a group class with me? And just see what's going on there. Try and understand what the issues are. This coronavirus has impacted everybody in a different way financially. And it's just try and work through what's kind of going on there. Also, one of the things is that maybe they can only come and see you before, after work. So they worked in an office, they worked from 9 till 5, and they can only see you at 6 or 7 in the evening. So perhaps the thing to do is to say, I'm available all day. Maybe your lunch break, because you're working from home, could be the time that you could meet with that client. So just explore it, see what's possible. Who knows? But I would just get on the phone, and for oldies like me, this is supposed to be a phone, and talk to them and see what they have to say. Then when it comes to those small groups, it really depends how many clients you used to have. But I would suggest the same approach of talking to them. Maybe there's that Tuesday evening class that you had with those 3 or 4 ladies. I would really suggest that you contact them and you say, I'm hoping that the other people will come, and maybe you do it at exactly the same time. And when I'm kind of thinking about designing something like that, a lot of the reason that those people came was that they wanted to see their other friends, the other people that they did things with. So I would really encourage that you tell them all that they're going to be there, that this is fun, and also get to the online class maybe 10, 15 minutes early, provided your schedule allow that, and just welcome them into class, chat with them, ask them how they're getting on, make that social connection. So I would do that at the beginning, and then at the end of it, just hang around for a few minutes and answer any questions that people have. Because I think that social connection is a real key part of it. And in this time of isolation, it's a really important thing to be able to reconnect with people and chat, even if you're just talking about all kinds of things like, where did you get your face masks from, things like that. If you were lucky enough beforehand, and again, this part of the presentation is all about individual teachers, but maybe you taught a big group mat class somewhere in your community, then hopefully you have all those email addresses, but you don't have quite the same connection. But those people used to come to your class because they liked your personality, they liked your style, they liked the way that you presented yourself, the pace of your classes. So reach out for them. Now, I'm a big fan in this time of leveling up our communication. So if we used to just text with people, maybe it's better to send them an email, or maybe it's even get on the phone with them. Perhaps, for some people, just writing them a nice little note, a personal card, it really connects with people. So just think about, how do you engage with that group that you used to do? Win them back. Emails are a great way of just sending things out. They're not a big imposition to receive an email. Sometimes getting a phone call in the middle of dinner, that's a bit of a pain. But an email, you can answer that whenever you want to do it. When it comes to all of these things, when you're talking to these clients, assuming you've won them back to class, tell them that you're available for their friends. Maybe their husband, who's never done Pilates, maybe this is the time that he needs some help. All that time sat at home working on the computer or whatever that person's doing. This is a real good time to stretch our bodies. We're socially confined. A lot of us are still stuck at home. What can we do there to do it? As an individual Pilates teacher, do you really need a website? It depends how big your business is. It depends how comfortable you are with the technology, all of those things. But if you do have a website, then this is the time to update it. Tell people that you're still available, that you haven't vanished, that you're doing online classes. Make it really easy to understand where you are. Ideally, if it's that sophisticated, maybe there's a button to click and they can book a class with you. A lot of people in their smaller Pilates teacher business, really you can get away with Venmo or one of the other online services to make all your payments. You don't really need to spend a lot of time on your website. Really, it's kind of up to you. I think it just depends on people's individual circumstances. Now, the other one that I would talk about is social media. Oh my God, as we all know, social media can be such a time suck. So, if it brings you joy to spend a lot of time on social media, then great, do it. We all need to have more joy in our life. If it's the biggest drag ever, then I really think, is this something that I really need to be doing? And so that's kind of where I am on it. If it's the way that you traditionally connected with your clients, then I would use it more, continue to do it. Maybe you do some little clips to show, like, this is me at home doing my Pilates, those kind of things. That's kind of fun. Really depends what you're doing, but I don't think you should feel a real obligation, unless that is how you traditionally connect with your customers, your clients. I don't think you should feel like an obligation to do that. As an individual teacher, I am not a big fan of spending a lot of money on advertising. It's a great way of spending money, but it doesn't always bring back a lot of return. So I kind of think, be really cautious about that. But, what is it that you're trying to do with that advertising? Is it really a good investment? Or would you be better off just using that money to pay yourself, just to ring your clients that you already have and just tell them that you'd love to help them move with joy and enjoy their bodies. Big thing in all of this is word of mouth. Just get it out there that you are still available to people to help them live a better life through movement. So, tell your friends, whoever you socialize with that, with social distancing, of course, but all of those things that you're available and you'd love to do it, and you can virtually come straight to their home to do that. So those are my thoughts, just 10 minutes worth of thoughts about what to do if you're an individual teacher, and that's your business there. I'm now going to kind of move on to thinking about Pilates studio owners and kind of what they need to be thinking about. Now, I'm assuming that pretty much every Pilates studio has a website. So if your website hasn't been updated, this is a great time to update it. It needs to have a message to say, I am available to you through online. And it may be that you've been allowed to reopen, depends where in the world you are. So you may have that hybrid model of online and in person. There's going to be a lot of clients that right now are kind of like, I'm not sure if I'm going to go back to the studio quite yet. And it sort of really depends on their personal circumstances. I kind of think if I was to be 70 and I had asthma, I would be really concerned to go into any public space right now. But if I'm 20-something and I'm feeling very confident and I don't live with an older relative that if I took the coronavirus back to would threaten their lives, then I think coming to the studio would be great. So I would communicate through your website clearly that you are available for one or both those options, and this is how you do it. Make it really easy to click on the link and book things and do all of that. Just explain what's going on. I think if you are opening your studio, you also really need to explain, this is how we're cleaning, this is how we're operating, this is how we're keeping it safe for everybody. It could be a great opportunity right now to do some really nice stock photography in your home. Hopefully you have a teenager that's available to you to take great pictures with their iPhone of you or whatever, their Android phone. And you can maybe smarten up the website, take some more items. You can use those same things to promote your service. Of all the marketing tools that you have available today, I am the biggest fan of email. Email marketing to me is something that you actually have control over. With Facebook, you post something on Facebook or Instagram, maybe your client gets to see that, maybe they don't. Maybe they discover that your website updates, but with an email, you put it right into their email box and you have that message. And it's delivered. So you can control that form of communication between yourself and that client. Not, when you go through Facebook, Instagram, all these other things, somebody else controls it, not you. So that's why I'm such a big fan of email. Use email to promote your classes. Tell people what you're doing. Regularly send it out. Make sure there's like a schedule of classes. And ideally, make it as easy as possible to book a class, to pay you money. So put the links in the email that you can go out to. Spend the time to make sure that it works both on your phone and it works on the computer. So when you're previewing that, whether you use MailChimp or any of the other constant contact, all the different things, check it on the phone. Like, does it look good? Does it look professional? And if it doesn't, spend the time to fiddle around and do it. There's some really great templates in those services and to send something out. And that stock photography that you took a little bit earlier in this presentation, use that to make your emails look fabulous. I think it's time to be really uplifting and kind of show people that there's opportunities to really enjoy themselves, to move, to have a great time. So that would be kind of where I am on email marketing. When it comes to social media, I do think if you have a studio and you have a social media presence, then think about, okay, what can I put into my social media? Again, to remind people, you're not guaranteed that social media post is going to turn up on somebody's feed. There's a chance it will. Something less than 5% of all posts are seen by people that follow you, but at least 5% are seen. Sometimes it's even a little bit higher, mostly it's a little bit lower. But, post those things, make them kind of interesting, relevant, and kind of think about, what engaged me? What did I see from other people that engaged? And like, oh, what can I do? Can I have a take on that, make it a little bit better? It's time to do some little pictures of you. On social media, I post some pictures of you doing things. I'm not a big fan of giving away your key product. So I've seen lots and lots of people on Instagram Live doing full 55-minute mat workouts. And I'm just thinking, like, oh, they're not getting paid for that. It's kind of sad. And they're just giving away, you know, their intellectual property, their skills, all that time that they invested. But I do think that there's opportunities to do other things with the live formats. You know, why not do a Q&A? Why not talk to one of your favorite clients about kind of what's going on, about what their plans and aspirations are? There's things like that. So do lots of marketing things around it, but I wouldn't give away your fundamental product. You know, you've still got bills. I know there's a coronavirus, but we've still got bills that need to be done. When it comes to advertising for studios, you know, it used to be that you could advertise through Google and you would just be doing like the 10-mile radius around where your studio is. Or if you're in New York, you know, 100 yards or whatever. But, you know, that kind of promotional stuff. I think today, you know, your market is really all over the world. And those online classes can be taken to anybody. So one of the things, kind of going back to email marketing, but one of the things to think about is all those people that used to be in your email list, but they moved to a different part of the world, why not market to them again? They could be your clients. They might be missing you. So kind of reach out to everybody that you've ever kind of taught and worked with and just see how they can connect with you. But when it comes to going back to advertising here, I'd just say, you know, sometimes you might have a really good post that you've done on Facebook or on Instagram. It could well be worth promoting that so that more people see it. And that's really, you know, that's the heart of what advertising, particularly on Facebook and Instagram, is. It makes your post visible to a lot more people. You're paying to be seen. And if that thing is worth promoting and it's going to drive revenue back to you, or whatever that return on investment you're looking for, I really suggest that you do it. But I would also put on the tracking pixels. So there's a little bit of HTML code that Facebook provides onto your website. So let's say that your investment is to get people to sign up for that Saturday morning class. Then you can put a pixel onto your website and see how many people as a result of that ad actually signed up. So if you can't measure what's going on there, you really have no idea whether or not that investment was useful or not useful. Those are really kind of my big thoughts about how do you promote your online business. It's a lot like the ways that we did it before. And I'm going to see if I can pull this open and try and do Q&As with people. So if you have a question, I would really love to try and answer them here. Hopefully I'm looking in the right place for these questions. There's a question here about pricing. I would charge exactly the same for online classes as you do for your in-person classes. So when it comes to your time and your investment are the same, whether or not, sorry, the comments are going past. Okay. I would charge the same as you do for your in-person classes as you do for your online. That's my advice there. Even though, you know, it's not equipment, it's still the same amount of your time to do what you're doing. So hopefully that helps on the pricing. There's some really good resources on the PMA website to I asked whether or not it's worth doing an interview with a client live on Instagram. Like, if that client really, really wants to endorse you and promote your practice and your doing, see if they'll do a testimonial with you, and you can put it up and just say, you know, I'm here today with Victoria, and we are going to just talk about what she's had out of our Pilates experiences together. The question here is about Zoom. I think Zoom is probably going to be part of the Pilates landscape for a long time, maybe indefinitely, that type of teaching. I just think that there's, you know, I'd go away on vacation and I'd still want to do Pilates with my instructor, but because I was on vacation, I'd never do it. And so now I think that that could easily be part of my ongoing relationship with my teacher, is that I think it could be done. You know, I could be, I don't know, I fancy Hawaii right now. I'm in Hawaii, and why not do a class with her? So yeah, I think that Zoom is just going to be part of our portfolio of tools that we use to teach through. I'm sorry that you got hit by a car, Michelle. Wishing you a full recovery. How much can you rent for a Pilates chair? I have no idea about that one. I know that some of the teachers here in the US have been renting out their equipment. So when they close their equipment, they rented out things. I don't know what the rates are on that. Perhaps somebody else can add to that in the comments. This is a question about mat class pricing online. I've seen a lot of group mat at about 15 US dollars. I'm sorry, I can't give you prices in other currencies. And it seems to be really, really popular. So that's a group mat class, large. And I see tiering in the way that this works. If it's maybe like 4, 8 people, that teacher can give individual corrections to everybody. And so there's a price point for that. But once you get to 20 or 30 people or more, it's really, really hard for that teacher, even if they're sat in front of their laptop, to be able to make individual corrections to all the people. So I think when you get to that really big group class, that really it's just one-way communication. The teacher is communicating with everybody else, but not really able to give corrections to individuals, then I think it's about 15 US dollars. There's a question here about newbie teachers and how do you build up your client base. And I think this is a little bit like the way that I suggest that you would do it, even if you had just freshly graduated and you were looking for people, looking for a job in a studio. I think you start off by you get the word out through your own network of what's going on there. And so good old-fashioned kind of word of mouth. Now, the only difference today is you can't go to the Chamber of Commerce meeting in your community where you can network. But there are other places kind of online where you can network. So I would start off with your friends, and then, I would also contact Pilates studios and see whether or not they can help you out at this time. Because there used to be quite a shortage of Pilates teachers. So talk to the Pilates studio owners and see if there's things there. Talk to your friends, get them to pass on the word. But I would also, my sympathy is with you, the person who asked the newbie teacher question. It's a tough time to graduate into this industry. Do I recommend another platform other than Zoom? It looks to me like about 95% of folks in the Pilates world have ended up migrating to Zoom. So I'm not a shareholder. I don't have any kind of sales job for them. But it seems to be the place where a lot of people are liking the success. And it seems like their technology, and they've done a lot of things recently to really improve their security. Seems like their technology is pretty robust today. The security is significantly improved. So I do not recommend other ones. Other people are using that. It just seems to work pretty well. And the price is pretty good. As a teacher, it's about 15 US dollars, different prices in different countries, to have a pro account, which allows you to do a lot more than the free account, which they offer. So I don't have an alternate that I feel is good. That was just my... somebody said about 100 per week for rental. Maybe that's for the chair. I don't know the answer to that. Liability insurance while not teaching in the studio. So I would ring up your... so when it comes to liability insurance, I would ring up your insurance broker and find out. As a PMA member, there's a really good piece in their COVID resources that talks about liability insurance and how you change the waiver to do online. And I hope that I'm not the lawyer, so I'm not. So is it better to demonstrate while teaching or just instruct while you're doing that? Yeah, I've talked to some of the real top teachers, and what they have generally ended up doing is a little bit of a, so if it's a one-on-one, then you can do the whole thing with just instructing. Depends on the client what's comfortable, and then doing a little bit of demonstrating, so you're kind of going back and forth. If it's a really big group class, then they're probably going to demonstrate. But it really comes down to your style. I don't think that there is a definitive, you've got to do it this way or you've got to do it that way. Somebody is suggesting for a reformer about $100 a week to rent one. So I think that if you have started, this question is going back to newbie teachers, how do you go from giving it away for free to paying for it? I think that you announced during that online class that you will now be doing less online. We did this during the early part of the crisis, and that's why we are giving it away for free. We wanted to support people, but now we're switching to needing to pay our bills and just saying I'll be doing this. It's $15 on Saturday morning at whatever time or whenever you're doing it. Do it that way. And if you have people that message you and say I really don't have the money, then there's a lot of people that are financially hurting big time as a result of this. But there's other people that are able to work from home and would love to support you financially in your work. So I think that if people message you and say I can't afford it, then I think that's an opportunity for you to be generous with them and to provide that to them. But otherwise, I would try and migrate them into using Zoom and paying for your work. And this lady has said, I make all my clients sign a waiver and terms and conditions. Also make sure my liability insurance covers me for online classes. Yeah, depends on your insurance. Look at your policy, ring up your broker, find out what works. Well, I loved being here with you. If there's any more questions, I'd be happy to answer them as best I can, but it was a joy to be here. And thank you, everybody, and see you on the mat. Bye.